So, hello and welcome to Ask the Icon, a live web series, first of its kind in India, designed exclusively for working professionals. I'm Kaushik Majumder, author and workplace challenge consultant. Needless to say that the impact of the pandemic all over the world has pushed us into a time which is unprecedented. And if you are a working professional, then you must be a worried person today. I'm sure you have a lot of questions with very little clarity, looking for specific solutions to your challenges. And that's exactly we intend to achieve on every episode of Ask the Icon. The idea behind Ask the Icon is to make a difference in the lives of working professionals by helping them with specific solutions to their challenges. And specific solutions call for specialized knowledge and experience and not general knowledge that is readily available on the internet. On every episode of Ask the Icon, a guest icon, one of the movers and shakers from the corporate world, joins us live on Facebook and addresses your specific questions that you put on my social media accounts. These questions are specific to the challenges or concerns that you, the working professionals, face at your workplace. So without further delay, I would like to introduce you to today's guest icon. Our today's guest icon, in her 2 decades of illustrious association with the corporate world, she has had a stints with insurance, telecommunications, hospitality, financial services industries. So when I called her, with the invite for being the guest icon, she said, if it helps people, you got all my support. So our today's guest icon is a formidable leader, astounding influencer, and a human being I immensely respect. Ladies and gentlemen, we are proud to have with us a senior HR leader from the corporate world, Miss Sudakshina Bhattacharya. So thank you very much, Sudakshina, for joining us today on the 6th episode of Ask the Icon. We are privileged to have you today, and I'm sure all the viewers are eager to hear you, listen to you. So over to you for your opening comments, please, Sudakshina.
Hi, Kaushik. Good evening, good afternoon, and good evening, good afternoon to everyone who's live here. It's so amazing just to be present in a show like this. Kaushik, first of all, a big congratulations and thank you for starting such a lovely series. It's targeted for working professionals, and it's so wonderful because, like me, there are millions who have tons of questions in their head about what's going on today and what's going to happen tomorrow. So doing an interaction like this, I think, is highly beneficial. It's beneficial for me, and I'm sure it's going to be beneficial for everyone else. And so my compliments to you and big congratulations. And I hear that this is the 6th episode, so which means you've already had 5 eminent personalities. And it's such a privilege for me to be in conversation with someone like you, author of The Process Pro, a workplace consultant. You yourself had such a lovely career. You worked in IT industry and consumer durables as well, right? So it's lovely to be in conversation with you. And to all the viewers, I do hope that you and your family members are all safe and healthy, and you're staying indoors. And what a lovely opportunity to stay indoors and yet to be able to interact. So over to you, Kaushik.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. So before we move on to the question answer session, those of you who have not read my book, The Process Pro, which Sudakshina just mentioned about, it's a 360-degree perspective on corporate systems and process. So for the book, I have interviewed 35 smartest minds of our country and incorporated their views in it. And Sudakshina was kind to share her invaluable inputs, her views for the readers, and that made the book a must read. So if you have not read The Process Pro yet, you can order your copy on Amazon once the lockdown is over. So thank you very much. So Sudakshina, on this show, I would ask you questions that I received from the working professionals. The viewers were mostly working professionals. So do I have your permission to proceed with the episode 6 of Ask the Icon, please?
Yes, Kaushik, of course. You have all my permission to do that. And it'll be my honor to answer questions that you may pose or the viewers may have posed. Yeah, so get on with it. And yeah, just one disclaimer that my responses to the questions will be from the experiences that I've had and whatever little knowledge that I would have gathered and I would have learned through situations that I would have faced. So these are purely based on my personal response, and it doesn't reflect the views of any association, organization, or anyone else. So it's purely mine. So all the brickbats this side.
Absolutely. So thank you very much. The first question is I've got from Rutuja Nair. So thank you very much, Rutuja, for the question, which is a very interesting question. In today's professional environment, how important is employees' loyalty to an employer? Is it a determinant factor when an employer is downsizing? Does the employer consider the loyalty factor while he or she is downsizing her organization or his organization? So in the current scenario, do you see the young employees changing their jobs as frequently as they did before? So there are two aspects from the employer side. Does the loyalty important to the employees, loyalty important to the employers? And also, would the employees be changing their jobs as frequently as they did before? Over to you, please, Sudakshina.
Hi, Rituja. I hope you're safe and healthy. So your question has, to me, it has three parts. One is the employee loyalty. The other is what goes into employer downsizing. And the third part is the current scenario, what do young professionals do? So the first one, which is employee loyalty. So first of all, loyalty is towards something that I pursue. So it's my career that I am pursuing. It's the kind of work that I'm pursuing. It's the kind of work that appeals to me. So my loyalty first is to my career, to the kind of work that I'm doing. Now, the second part is who's providing me the opportunity of doing that work. It is my employer, currently. It is my employer who's providing me with the opportunity to A, build my career, do the work that I like to do, create an impact in the work that I am doing. So my primary loyalty still remains with my career, with the work that I am doing. But because my employer is creating that opportunity for me, I automatically am loyal to my employer. That's the loyalty between an employee and an employer. Tomorrow, when somebody changes the employer, automatically the opportunity shifts. So while I stay loyal and true to my career, the kind of work that I do, but the one providing me with that opportunity, that changes. So by that virtue of that change, my loyalty then becomes to the next employer. So that's about loyalty. Now the second thing is that is loyalty an input or is it an advantage towards downsizing? Rutuja, downsizing is done for many, many reasons. Multiple reasons. Some explainable, some non-explainable. The question is that when does an organization look at downsize? When the organization is not able to carry the number of people that they have because either there are not so many jobs available anymore, markets have changed, business scenario has changed, industry has changed, a lot of things would have changed. Does that mean that the employer does not recognize an employee who is loyal to the brand? At every given circumstance, an employer for sure recognizes an employee who is loyal to the brand, to the employer. Now, if that is an enabler or is it a derailer for downsizing, I think it's a very far-fetched question to answer in a linear manner. And I do not think it is prudent to see it in that light. I am responsible to make a choice of being loyal or not being loyal. That choice is mine. Now, what happens to the consequences of that choice? I don't think that is in my realm of consideration. So that's the second part. Now, the third part, a lot of younger professionals looking to change jobs quickly. So it's very interesting because at the end of the day, there is something that drives us to keep working in an organization or multiple organizations. It could be money, it could be opportunity, it could be recognition, it could be respect, it could be motivation, it could be my relationship with colleagues, it could be my relationship with boss. So there are so many factors that go into an employee continuing with an organization or deciding to leave the organization. And amongst all these factors, individually, there'll be some which will be predominant. Like, okay, at this stage, money is most important for me. I'm starting a new life stage. I'm going to buy a house for myself. I'm going to provide for something more to my family. And hence, money is important at this phase of my life. Another phase, I want a leadership role. I want to graduate from middle management to the next level. Or I want to look at a different scale, I want to get a different exposure, then that becomes more important. So depending upon what is my need at that point of time, I will decide about moving. So now if we extrapolate this need and collectively we look at a younger mass who's more ambitious, younger mass who is like, they want instant gratification, they want to move quickly because they're impatient to make their career. We all have been there. So I guess it's quite a relatable emotion. And hence the pace of changing jobs could be fast. The world is changing so fast. What was true yesterday is not true today. If the world is changing so fast, it will be unfair to think that younger lot will not be in a hurry to get to the milestones in their career where they aspire to be.
Next question is from Ashish Sawant, and the question is, what are the options left for an experienced employee after being laid off in current situation? He has not mentioned any particular industry. So should he try to get his job back or look for a job in another organization, or should he try to do something out of this current situation? So it's basically in the context of the current situation, and he hasn't mentioned any industry. So it's probably in the general terms he's asking this question. Over to you, Sudakshina.
Hi, Ashish. I hope you're doing well and everyone in your family is safe and healthy. What a question. Actually, this question's made me nostalgic, Kaushik. I just remembered an incident in my own career where something similar had happened. So what shall one do?
Yeah.
What do we usually do when we feel we are not wanted in a place? Do we really push ourselves into that place, try and recreate a space over there? Or do we tell ourselves that, there's more that we can do. There's more than this that I can do. And I look for another place which is more welcoming of me, a place which needs me, a place which wants me, a place where I can find a space for myself to grow, to show my potential, to make an impact, to make a meaningful contribution. It may sound a little foolish, but I do believe that when one door closes, another one opens.
True.
It's sometimes that we get so bogged down by the door that is closed that it hampers our natural ability to see the other door that is opened. I know if I said this without my personal experience, it would have been like a theoretical answer. But Ashish, I can tell you that I've been there. And I can tell you with conviction that when a door closes, don't look at the door anymore. It is important that focus all the energy to look at which is the door that is open or which is the door that can get open with a little bit of push or nudge from you. And also, that is the point to really realize that was I making contribution at the right place? One chapter has to end for a new chapter that is beginning. That's growth. And that's growth. And if I'm sitting here today and, feeling so privileged that Kaushik has called me because I have gone through those experiences. So that's my personal opinion, that when a door closes, it's best to say thank you for all the opportunity. Thank you for the learning. Thank you for the experience. And I shall fly from here in another direction.
Okay, so what you actually said is that if I'm not wrong, you should be celebrated and not dragged. So if you feel dragged, you move on to another nest where you are celebrated. Is that what I,
Totally, Ashish. The thing is that, of course, there could be an element here. Actually, it's also quite layered in the sense that some people may feel that, it's an injustice to me. Why am I the one who's receiving this? So and so has not done his job properly. I did everything well. All of that happens, and a large part of them could be true also. And maybe there could also be another view to say, okay, one should not take injustice. But at that point of time, what is more important, my growth, or being in that space of who's done justice, why it has happened to me, the poor me, the victim me, oh, what did I do wrong? I'm loyal to what? My loyalty is first to my career growth, what I want to do. And this world has abundance of opportunities. It may take some time.
Yep,
it will take some adjustments, but that's okay.
True. Yep.
Career is not sprinting, right? It's a marathon. Who said that? Somebody with a lot of wisdom and great mind said that. It's a marathon.
Yes. Yep. So yeah, I believe Ashish, you got the answer. So if you are not wanted, then you should move on. Next question is from Pooja Naveen, and she asks the question: how much weightage do you think certifications carry for an experienced employee while deciding promotion? In our company, the leadership encourages the employees to go for certification, but most of the time it's self-paid and it's costly. So this is, I think, another question which is very close to my heart. So over to you, Sudakshina, please.
Pooja, first of all, I think it's a wonderful, wonderful thing to be part of an organization which encourages learning and development. It's such a differentiator as an employer. And I also believe, and this is something that I've learned, that growth, progress, all of that comes when there is enhancement of knowledge. Now, whether it comes through a certification or it comes through a degree or a diploma, it doesn't really matter. But if the organization encourages certification, it has two benefits. One, of course, the organization benefits, because if I learn something, then I'm able to contribute better to the work that I'm doing, whatever I've been assigned for. That's one. The second thing is that I also learn more than what I knew yesterday after doing my certification. Now, if your question is that whether the employers should pay, I guess that will depend on what the company, how the company creates the learning environment. Some companies do sponsor such programs, but if I'm a professional who's wanting to make a mark in the industry or in the organization, wants to have a good career, I really wouldn't bother much about who's paying. I would much rather that, whether it is in this company or another company, if I learn something, that will always remain with me. It's a permanent investment in my own self. So I would say that, because there are companies I've heard who do not allow people to take time off to study, or even invest during the weekends to study something, or rescale or upskill themselves. So if you are a part of an organization who's encouraging this, I think it's great. And for promotion, so who gets promoted? Or why does a promotion happen? Or why should I get promoted? It's not my right to get promoted in an organization. If I'm good enough, if I can be in that role and contribute, if I can generate that confidence that if I'm given that opportunity or that next role, if I'm promoted to the next level, my contribution will also change, commensurating to where I'm placed. And for me to be able to get to that point of being skillful enough to be able to contribute in that role, if a certification is going to make me that, then I think it's by all means that one must do that. Because if my goal is promotion and the only thing that's keeping me away from that promotion is that certification program, because that will enable me more, then I would definitely want to go and do that certification. But a lot of times, Kaushik, these things are very personal. Cool. Like, whether I invest in myself or I wait for the organization to invest in me is a very individual decision. But if I'm sitting here today and you've asked me to be on your show, then I should only say things that I believe. And I believe that learning is self-reliant. I should take responsibility of my learning. If my employer is supportive of it, it's great.
Right. I mean, absolutely. What you said, absolutely correct. That you are talking from your experience, and that is what the intention behind having this initiative in the first place. If I can just add a quick, question, not really question, but just I need a small clarity over here. That the question is, would a certification be considered to get an employee to the next level? That's what while considering for the next level. So the person is good in terms of his performance. So would the certification would add to his or her?
Of course, if that certification is about in that line of the job, it's in the line of that work, and I'm sure definitely it will count.
Right.
Organizations always value employees who can bring little more to the table than what is expected.
Right. So next question is from Anish Sharma. We talked about losing job in the first question. I think this is also kind of in the same context, which is how would I know that I would be laid off? The person is Anish Sharma. He's looking for signals and just asking for your suggestions. How would I know that I would be laid off? Is there any indication so that I can be prepared?
Sorry about that. Just.
Over to you, please.
Yeah. Anish, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. It's a tough one. And again, I'm nostalgic because I was talking about my own experience some few years ago. And that year, when the appraisals had happened, I was rated highest in the quadrant. So, like I was on a 5-point rating scale. I think I got rated 5. And 2 months down the road, things changed. Did I know that it was coming my way? Of course not. I was born from the blue. Until date, I don't have answers to those questions, but I don't ponder on those questions anymore. But the point is that I can do what is required of me to do. That's in my control. How would I know whether I will? Maybe some indications like where is the business going? Where is the company going? What is the impact of that movement of the company or the industry? And will my job be relevant tomorrow? I think that's an important indication. Like what we are seeing today, a lot of jobs are becoming irrelevant. So is my job one of them which may get irrelevant tomorrow? That's an indication. Between 10 people in the department, where am I pegged? What was my ratings in the last few years? That could be a strong indication that I'm going to continue. I have a good chance of continuing. Those things also can become different. But these are some of the indicators that, okay, so what kind of performances that have been recorded from my end. And if they have been on the higher side, there's a good chance that I may survive the crisis. What else can be? How are my equations with my peers? How am I influencing them? How am I inspiring them? What kind of role do I play? How does the organization see me as a talent in the place of work? I think these are all strong indications. However, the way things are moving today, it's a lot of changes which are beyond our control, and also some of these changes are abrupt, and these changes are sudden, hard-hitting, and hence probably is difficult to anticipate. But largely, if I have been a good performer, if I have I've made an impression in the organization, I have my ethics and values in place, and they have been acknowledged, and I know that I fit within the overall organization decorum, guiding principles. There's a high chance that I may survive the crisis. But are there any indications of, you know what, when the work stops coming my way? I think that's a very strong indicator. Like there were volumes of work coming my way, and I'm suddenly seeing that this work is reducing, or it's going to somebody else, or there's something that's not quite right as it used to be. It's difficult to to like put my thumb on it, say this is the indication. But there are various of these indications that may happen. And I'm sorry to there's something that like this has happened to you, then I'm sorry if that has happened, and I feel for you. But it's kind of difficult to anticipate. And if we read the journeys and experiences of some of the world's most respected professionals, successful professionals, I think most of the time it was difficult for them to anticipate what was coming next, whether it was loss of a job or business environment changing or anything like that. So it's important to put things in perspective. But yes, if I have done well in my career in the organization, if my performance records are good, I'm a respectable employee, I'm somebody who's built strong working relationship, good credible working relationship because of my performance, chances are that I may survive the crisis.
Right. So you talked about two things stood out. One is, of course, making yourself relevant, which is probably the most the bullet point for me. And the second thing which I liked about our conversation from the beginning is that people talk about their success, the high points. And you mentioned your low points twice, in last 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And that's for me really stood out moments because, people learn from their success, of course, but failure is the biggest teachers in my views. So kudos to you for that, Sudakshina. It's been wonderful so far. So those of you who just joined us in our session, this is your series designed exclusively for working professionals. I'm the host, Kaushik Majumder, author and workplace challenge consultant. And today our guest icon is a senior HR professional, Ms. Sudakshina Bhattacharya. So Sudakshina, if you can move on to the next question, which is from Abhay Rao. Abhay asks that I don't like working from home because I find it daunting and see myself less productive. In the current scenario with the physical distancing and other measures that would be in place, is work from home going to be a new norm? Any tips to be more productive while working from home? Abhay Rao, thank you very much. Over to you, Sudakshina, please.
Hi, Abhay. What a lovely question, and and such an honest admission. I think there are millions like you who are not enjoying working from home, while there are another million who are enjoying. Some things that is workable and that works, because what happens is that we suddenly find ourselves in a change scenario. We are used to a routine of waking up, doing our chores, and then getting ready to go to work, and we have a workplace over there, we have a desk, we have a laptop or a desktop, we have a phone, we have colleagues, and there's a certain routine, like you get into the office, you go and get a cup of coffee for yourself, and all of that. Some of it is replicable. Replicable, that's the right word, right? Some of it is replicable, and a lot of it is also not. So the tips, okay, I'll only give you tips that work for me. So I have hardly ever worked from home. I've never worked in an industry which has allowed work from home, or I've had that. So I found myself in a completely unfamiliar situation 2 months ago when we decided to work from home. So I was very excited. Oh my God, so finally I'm going to work from home and I will be able to do things that I wanted to do. Now the thing is that morning, where do I work? Like, where is my desk? So the first tip is you have to find a corner in the house which you will call your work desk till the time that you're working from home. It could be as simple as one corner of your dining table. It could be one couch in your house where you can put your laptop and work. If you have the luxury of creating a corner in your balcony, or you have a separate room, first thing is to create a work desk. That makes life tad easier. Because you know every morning after you finish your chores, you take a cup of coffee and you work to that corner or the corner of the table or that couch. You are getting into the mode of going to work. That's important. Second, we are used to familiar noise in the office. Everyone's either talking on the mobile or they're talking to each other. There's a certain kind of sound that makes us feel like we are in office, but that's not something that we can have at home. And especially now, like there's some cooking happening somewhere, there's somebody else talking somewhere, so all unfamiliar noises. Now the point is, what happens when there's a meeting, or what happens when there are other people who are talking? We are still concentrating on what we are doing. Whether working from home is going to be the norm, as I guess you must have read what's being projected by different people, experts, organizations, and I borrow from there that definitely it looks to be that working from home is going to be the next norm. And that's why it's important that we create that environment that I am going to work, whether it's at 9 o'clock, at 9:30, whatever the time is, I am going to work. Also, it is important to take breaks. Like how we would get up from our desk in the office and we would go and get ourselves a cup of coffee, get ourselves a glass of water, talk to somebody, take breaks, call up a colleague and just say, listen, nothing else. I just call up to say, hi, what are you doing? That gives a feeling that, I'm in touch with my people. Not all of it can be replicated, but some part of it can be replicated. Like do video calls with your colleagues, do video calls with your friends. Just feel as much. Not everything can be same, but some part of it can work. It has worked for me. Like I have a place which is my workplace, which I had to create after we started working from home. And it can be daunting. I totally agree. Like, where do you draw the line? Take a break. If your lunch hour is say 1 hour when you were at work, you would take a break for 45 minutes to have lunch. Take that break. It's important. I don't know if that helps you or I answer the question, but these are from my experience. This is what I did to orient myself to work from home.
Okay, next question is from Irfan Ahmed. And the question is, in current scenarios, meetings have become useless. So most of the time, team members who are not meeting each other in person for long end up discussing irrelevant stuffs in the meeting. Setting norms during the conference call, not much of a help either. So any suggestions, please, to make the meetings more outcome oriented?
Irfan, hi. Well, this is like the longest joke that a joke that I've heard for the longest time, that, people end up discussing a whole lot of stuff which may not be as relevant in the meetings. It's important to create an agenda for the meeting, undoubtedly. And also, what is most important is to create an in time and a hard out time of the meeting. Like Kaushik, today you have created this Facebook Live session. It's for a period of time. It's for 60 minutes. Whatever we can cover, we'll cover in 60 minutes. So we'll make sure that if there is an agenda to be delivered, we are focused on that agenda. Otherwise, we can sit here and chat like, about any and everything. But you respect your time, I respect my time, I respect your time, and you do yours. And hence it's important that we get maximum out of the time that we are investing. So sometimes it does happen that I respect the time, but maybe somebody doesn't. It's important to influence that person to respect the time as well. So a in time and a hard out time of the meeting should definitely be put as a part of the meeting norm. Second is dive straight in the agenda. Why are we here? Of course, pleasantries are important. And in today's time, it's also important to invest that additional 5 minutes to ask if everyone's fine, everyone's family is doing fine, if anybody wants to say something, if anybody's going through something that they want to share, all that's great. But then dive straight into the agenda. Let the items be discussed, because there's always an objective of that meeting. What is the objective? And Irfan, you can play a leadership role in this. It's a beautiful opportunity to play a leadership role. When you see people are digressing, it's very nice to politely come in and say, hey guys, this is what we are discussing today. So let's come back to the topic. That's leadership. leadership is living every moment and creating that impact. That's your opportunity to create that impact. That we are digressing, so can we come back? And if you think that you cannot play that role of leader because maybe you have other people who are senior or whatever, nudge them to come back to the topic.
Right.
Or you can call out and say, okay, guys, so then shall we look at the next whatever number of minutes to discuss about what's going on in our lives? So maybe we can push this agenda that we had today for the meeting for another day. But it's important in time, out time, stay true to the agenda. And then if there are people who are distractors, you have to just tell them that there is a reason why we are here and we are investing time. And let's focus on that.
Right.
So identify the reason why people are getting distracted and bring them back to the meeting.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons he mentioned that probably, they are not meeting on a daily basis. And those chit chat at the pantry or the coffee vending machine or the stroll after lunch.
Kaushik, sorry to cut you in the middle. Something that is working for us as a team, for me especially. So we have dedicated a time every week for 90 minutes where all of us in the team, we catch up over a cup of coffee. So each of us get a cup of coffee on our table, wherever we are working from, and we do a video call for 90 minutes just to catch up on what's going on in the week.
Wow.
It's not only about work. Of course, we do discuss work that, the falana, this, that, and the other, but we also talk about everything else. Like how many buildings have got quarantine, what's happened to the neighbor, who's watched what series on Netflix. So dedicated time to catch up at a personal level with your office guys, with your colleagues, with your team members is a great idea to have productive meetings.
Yeah, so that's a very important inputs, because otherwise the meetings would be really, some amount of times that the meeting schedule would be vested in discussing and really sitting far from each other, influencing the other members sometimes could be proven difficult. So I think 90 minutes is, that schedule that you mentioned, it can be, could be a game changer.
And non-compromisable, Kaushik. So for me, especially, if I have a meeting, it's already on my calendar. It's a weekly catch up with team. So no meetings come around that time. I don't take any meetings around that time.
Right. Excellent. So yeah, this is something which for me as well. So if anybody asks me, how can we do that? I think that's a great input. Thank you very much, Sudakshina. The seventh question is from Nini Kumar. That is something which is very specific. I'm a first-time manager. I'm a first-time manager, have come through the ranks and I'm technically good. So however, me being a female leader or whatever reason, could be a female leader or whatever reason she doesn't know, I'm finding it difficult to manage few members of the team who are acting as a rotten apples. So it's not all, probably the senior ones. And because of that, the team performance is going downhill. And what would be the best way to act and get a grip on the members on the team? So over to you for the first time managers. Yep. Sudakshina, please.
Okay, Revati, hi. I'm so glad that you've called it out and acknowledged yourself for being technically good.
This is Nimmi. This is Nimmi.
Oh, Nimmi, is it? Sorry, I got the name wrong.
Yeah.
So Nimmi, great that you've called yourself out as technically good. So you're appreciating and acknowledging your qualities. And the second part of your question, that you're finding it difficult as a first-time manager to deal with a few people. Well, okay. So first of all, what makes for a rotten apple? There's always a reason why somebody behaves the way the person behaves. So as a manager, it's important to identify that what drives each of my team members to work with me or to work with somebody else. So my first point would be, if I were you, what would I do? I would first try and identify that what is it that these few team members are looking for, which they're not getting from their manager. Once I identify what they're looking for, it's good to have an assessment that am I able to provide them with that? It could be guidance, it could be clarity, it could be instruction. Often these asks are very simple, but it's just that because there's a distance and we've already categorized them as something. We already distance ourselves a little more from them. So have I made that attempt and honest effort to understand what is it that they're looking for in their manager? And am I providing them that? Because at the end of the day, Nimi, your objective is to make sure that your performance and your team performance is at the utmost level. So anything that is interfering, like any problem, when a problem comes, we first try and understand what is the root of the problem. And then we go to solution. So I would suggest that invest some time, do one-on-one conversation with those two people or whatever, few people, and understand and identify that what is it that they're not able to get. And then if you find that they are deliberately creating problems, then you know there are always service rules in the organization. There are always codes of conducts available, which you can easily access. And you can have a discussion with your higher ups, but you have to be absolutely sure about that before you take these actions. And often in my experience, I have seen that there's nothing in the world that I believe which cannot be solved with communication, over communication. And sometimes the responsibility and the ownership is on me to be able to open the channel of conversation or communication and identify what is it. So explore all of this. And then if you still feel that they're deliberately doing something like this, then take action.
Yeah, so first communication, and second is if still things don't work out, then probably you are left with no other choice but to go by what is right in terms of as far as policy is concerned or rules are concerned. Next is from Roy Lincoln. And Roy's question is, how can I convey to my female boss that she is wrong or she is not competent without being misogynist? Over to you, Sudakshina.
Hi, Roy, if you're live here, I'll just take 2 minutes to give a context. This year, so every year there's this International Women's Day and stuff like that, right? Which a lot of organizations celebrate. This year, one of the themes that globally organizations took was Each for Equal. And one of the things in Each for Equal was to confront our own unconscious biases. It's human to have unconscious bias, and we all have them. We have biases about creed, nationality, ethnicity, abilities, skills, personalities. She dresses too well. Oh, he's too arrogant. Oh, he's too timid. So these are all like unconscious biases that we have. So Roy, my first request to you is to really introspect. I hope that it is not an unconscious bias in you about your female boss. Then second, what would you do if it was a male boss? And why are you making the distinction that your boss is a female? Of course, culturally, and it's nice, of course, we are taught to be respectful to a lady, and you should always be respectful to a lady. But here, we are respectable to our bosses. Doesn't matter whether the boss is a male or female. So how would you respectfully tell your male boss that he is wrong? Can you replicate the same thing to your female boss? If I'm reading your question right, I don't know about personality here and I don't know about the rest of the stuff. But if your question is really about how to tell my female boss that she is wrong, then I think it's important to just say it the way you would tell it to your male boss. Instead of sir, just replace it with ma'am. If you address your boss as a sir or ma'am, if it's first name basis, then just first name basis. Just say, Sudakshina, you're wrong. I think you're wrong. And this is why you're wrong. This is why I think you're wrong.
Right. So if you have a valid point, then just explain it. And again, I think it all comes down to communication. So how do you communicate to rightly to the boss, whether it's a female or male? And
Yeah.
yes,
Like, do people find it difficult? I'm just trying to think that if I've had team members when they found it difficult to tell something to me just because I'm a female, maybe like अरे पता नहीं अभी मैडम को कैसे बोलेंगे. I mean, that's an emotion, but that's a good emotion. But that's also an enabler because you treat that person with so much respect that you feel कि अब, like, how do I go and tell this to ma'am that she's wrong? But that's a good space.
right. Uh, Next question is from Animesh Diwan. Post-COVID days, what would be the biggest challenge employees who are fresh out of colleges have to face while looking for employment? So he's talking about the freshers, the situation of freshers post-COVID days. Over to you, Sudakshina.
Kaushik, I think this is the toughest question so far because this is a real situation. The good thing is that the good news is that a lot of organizations are honoring their offers made to the younger people, especially people who are just coming out of colleges. But if we say that it's not going to impact, I think that will be wrong. So, and I recall that in 2008 or 9, I think we had a similar, may not be of this scale, but we had a similar situation where campus placements had got affected quite badly. And I do know that a lot of people did have this uncertainty around that time as well as to whether we'll get placed, what is going to happen, whether the offers are going to be as lucrative. And this time I think the scenario is even more complex. So first of all, A, you're not alone. And B, there are a lot of people who have been there, who have now probably 11 years of work experience. So it may be a good idea to connect with some of your, campus seniors, college seniors to understand, how did they navigate at that point of time. Also somewhere perhaps, create informal placement committees because those things really work. Because when you have more people with you, then it is like 3:3:3 principle. One person approaches 3 people, those 3 people approach another 3 people, and another 3 people approach another 3 people. So then you have actually ended up approaching 9 people. So sometimes these networks around this time can really work. But as we see it, because the organizations are conservative about extending employment and offers, it is going to be a bit of it could be a bit of a struggle. But the good news is that everybody has struggles in their careers, sometime early on, sometime later, sometime in the middle. So maybe, like you're facing it early on. So it's good to be hopeful to see that maybe perhaps later in your career, you may not face that much hardship. Also, it's making you much more resilient. It's going to make you more strong. But what more can you do? Just tap into as many networks as possible. Write to people, get onto the platforms like LinkedIn and identify people, write to them. So I remember many years ago, a very, very senior colleague of mine found himself as getting the short end of the stick, and he was out of employment. And when I met him after a couple of months to ask him how he was doing, he said, you know what, when the chips are down, all you can do is just up your efforts. Just keep amplifying and keep making more and more efforts. And eventually he did find a really good job even at the senior level. So it's hard. And but nothing lasts forever. So whether it's good or bad. So I guess it'll be over soon. Just bear with the situation and be strong and keep trying. There'll be new industries that will come out. If the industries which used to offer employment, if they're not offering as many employments, it means that something new is coming on the way as well. Each time that happens, right? Every time a cycle goes down, something else comes up and the cycle goes up. Yeah. So just prepare yourself. Maybe it's a good time to invest in learning something new.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. So very, very valuable suggestions to you, Animesh. So I think we got just enough time to ask or go through one more question, which is something I could not resist myself from asking. The question is from Sharad Kumar, and the question is, what are the main challenges? What are the main challenges disabled people disabled people face in Indian MNCs, multinationals, and how can I overcome them when I look for a job? I'm expected to pass out of college next year. So, yeah, over to you, Lakshina, please.
So Kaushik, again, I think I'm inclined to look at the positives in every situation, in every incident. So the good thing is that there is so much work that has happened in the diversity and inclusion space in the last few years across the world, where the world is actually making effort to include people of all kinds, whether it is about ability, it is about skills, it's about ethnicity, it's about gender. So there's a lot of movement happening, and a lot of organizations are actually preparing themselves to include people from all walks of life in their environment. So to enable it, first is to look for what are some of the policies and practices that the organization has, how inclusive or how important it is for the organization to be inclusive. That's a good indicator for someone like you. Sorry, I didn't get the name right. What was the name? Sharath, right? So Sharath, one of the strong indicators for you would be to know a little more about the organization, to see what kind of policies and practices do they really have in the company to be inclusive. The second part is about infrastructure. So I know that differently abled people will need little different infrastructure as well. So does the company have those infrastructures in place? A simple thing like, is there a ramp along with stairs? It's a very, very important indication. Um, if it's about skills, like how far are accessible stuff, like how easy is it to access the coffee machine or the washrooms, etc. um, but the good thing is that a large part of people will also work from home in the future. So yeah, so I don't know, I mean, this could be
Silver
a
lining.
great, yeah, it could be a silver lining. Actually, the organization may say that it really doesn't matter whether you're differently able, because you could work from home, you could work from the place that you're comfortable with. So I guess we're all at a brink where the future is going to be very different from what we have been used to. So that's good news. But having just coming back to answer your question, I think some of these indicators are important: policy and practices, infrastructure, and also about the culture of the organization. I'll give you an example. Where I stay, there are this series of jewelry stores on a particular road. There are a series of jewelry stores, and all of them are very, very big names. But only one of those stores has a ramp along with the stairs. Now, my thing is, so I was going to shop something, and I took my mother. My mother needs a bit of a support when she walks. And I stood there and I thought that, if there are so many stores, each of them are selling their products and making money, but there's only one store that has a ramp along with the stairs, so that people who cannot climb stairs very easily can use the ramp to come to the store. Which store would I go to? So hence that culture is important.
So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sudakshina. And all the questions are also, I found that really relevant. But so the viewers, as I mentioned, I'm sure that Sudakshina's answers have given you clarity, provided solutions to your challenges, and cleared all your doubts. Now, those of you who have missed the interview from the beginning, you can watch the entire interview tomorrow. I will upload it tomorrow on my YouTube channel, Kaushik Majumder, The Process Pro. Now, viewers, you know the drill. Please go ahead and hit the like and share buttons. And for regular updates, please subscribe to my channel, YouTube channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon. For any comments and suggestions, which are very important for us, and of course, if you have any question for the icons, you can use the comment section. Now, the time for the surprise gift for the standout question of the week. So, Sudakshina, here I've got a request for you. Do you please tell us, me and the viewers, the one question of the day that you found either most innovative or relevant or interesting? A question.
Um,
just, any particular point in that question will just.
Who asked that question, Kaushik, about the biggest challenges because of COVID for people who are fresh out of colleges?
Okay.
Animesh, right?
Animesh Diwan. Yeah, Animesh Diwan. So, yes.
Yeah, I think I'm a little biased because it's somebody young, somebody who has a lot of dreams and wants to make a mark, is starting his career. So my heart will go out to pick Animesh's question as the question of the day.
Okay, so thank you very much, Sudakshina. So Animesh Diwan, congratulations. That is amazing surprise gift would reach you by tomorrow. Yep. So thank you very much, Sudakshina, for your time and addressing the concerns of the working professionals. I'm sure all the viewers got immensely benefited from your solutions and suggestions. So any closing comments, please?
Kaushik, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me here, and all of you who really invested your time. I hope I could be of service to you. I hope that I could share something out of my experience which could be helpful and useful to you. My closing comments is, Kaushik, every cycle that starts comes to an end, and every door that closes opens new one. Every difficulty and every challenge actually offers opportunities. So it's important for us to stay positive and stay true to really believe that the world is run by magic and miracles. And then your world indeed will become one that is of magic and miracle. And it's okay. Along the way, there'll be some what is it called? Some days of rain, or some days which are moist, and some dark clouds, but that's okay. The sun shines every day.
Yeah, so dark clouds gradually recedes, right? So wonderful words. Thank you very much, Sudakshina. So viewers, with this, we have come to the end of today's episode. Looking forward to see you in the next episode of Ask the Icon, with another icon, with another interesting perspective and lots of clarity. Till then, with today's icon, Sudakshina Bhattacharya, this is Kaushik Majumder wishing you all a good weekend ahead. Take care of yourself, and thank you for watching Ask the Icon. And last but not the least, please keep your questions coming.